Good morning and welcome to Big Bear Homestead. This morning I'm going to show you a little bit about milking a cow. First I'm going to show you some hand milking techniques and some pretty important basic knowledge to know. Then also we'll do a second video on the machine milking. Hand milking is pretty important to know about just in case you don't have power or if your machine breaks down. You still need to be able to express the milk out of the cow because every 12 hours they need to be milked. This is important because if you get them on a schedule, you'll be able to notice things like milk production and things like that. That if their milk production goes down, you can know if there's something wrong with your cow or if she's going through her cycle. These are pretty important things. Hand milking is also important because you get a little bit more intimate with your cow. You get to see if there's anything wrong with her. You can check on her udders and make sure there's nothing health-wise that's going on. So the first thing we're going to do, whether you hand milk or you machine milk, you need to sanitize her. And we've used just a simple bucket with water and bleach in it and an old rag that we keep clean. You're just going to take the wash rag and wash off the udders and also the bags as well, because you want to make sure that that whole area is clean. I don't know if you can see on the back here on her bags in the back, but they're a little dirty too. So we tend to get those clean as well, as best we can, obviously. And she is still a cow who likes to lay down in the dirt. So we're going to try and do that. And one thing we have learned from previous cows and also from Daisy occasionally is that when you do this, you should be prepared for them to pee. Something about the water and grabbing on those udders that sometimes will give them the urge to pee. And so usually it's a good thing to kind of pause here for just a second to make sure, because before you milk, you don't want her to get any of her urine into the bucket. Now we've just used an old silver milking bucket or stainless steel milking bucket. And we're just going to put this down underneath her. And then you're going to take your hands and grab onto the udder right where it meets the bag with your forefinger and your thumb, and just wrap your fingers around and slowly express the milk and pull down just a tad. Not really going to pull too much. But you're going to do this with both hands. You're going to alternate between the two. You can either do the two front or the two back, or the two on one side and two on the other. And you're just going to pull down on that milk. You can see how it's coming out pretty quickly. Now, one thing that's important is when you're milking is to make sure that the milk is going down through the udder, that it's not coming back up the udder into the bag. This can cause infection and discomfort to the cow. So you want to make sure that when you're milking, obviously I'm doing this really fast because I'm used to it, but when you first start, you're going to probably be real slow with it, but you want to make sure that that milk does not go back up into the bag. Now the other thing is when you're done milking, you'll want to make sure there's nothing left in the bag. You don't want her to still have some milk in her bags because that also can cause discomfort and infection. You can see Daisy's pretty calm with us. She does both. We've learned that when you milk a cow, especially if it's a first-time milker. Daisy was a first-time milker. She calved with us back in November or December. I think it was December. And we had started to train her to come into the milking stall before she calved. We take a bucket. If you look up here, you'll see there's a bucket of feed. And the feed's there to, one, to go ahead and feed her, but two, to distract her from what we're doing. You can see she really doesn't really mind what I'm doing back here. But what we've done is we trained her for a couple of weeks before to, when it was time to feed, that she had to come in here to this gate. And all this is one of the farm gates, but we've anchored it at an angle so that it keeps her in place so she can't move very much. And then that way, if she gets fidgety or if something spooks her, that way she can't really move too much to where we can keep her here to milk her. Once a cow calves, they're going to have a couple of days where they are dropping nothing but colostrum, and you really don't want to. You can drink that, but you really don't want to, because you want to keep that for the calf. The immunities that come through that milk and that colostrum are very important to a calf. If they don't get that, they won't really grow properly, and we've unfortunately seen that in calves that we've bought from the stockyard. But basically what you'll do is, if it's a brand new cow, her first calf, you'll want to take that milk and bottle feed your calf. You'll separate we separated after about a week or two. We let her milk him or feed him for the first 2 weeks, and then we separated them. Hey buddy. And then we went ahead and started milking her, and you can see now she's an old pro at it. One thing you'll want to keep in mind is once they start, after they've had a calf, you'll want to start looking for signs of her cycle, and that's why hand milking can be pretty important. You can sit and investigate a little bit with little things that you might not normally notice, such as if she's got a film coming out of her vaginal area. You can also, like I was saying before, with the milk production, you can see whether or not her milk production has gone down or gone up. But then what you're going to want to do after you're done hand milking is you'll take your bleach and water solution again. You'll go ahead and clean those udders real good, because an udder is like an open wound. You've got to treat it like an open wound. So what you'll do is you'll take that washcloth, wash her off again, and then we like to put udder balm on her to keep her udders from cracking, because that also can cause infection. And then we put betadine on her udders to keep the infection from coming back up into the udder itself, and to also to keep her bags nice and healthy. So here's what the milk will look like. Looks pretty good. It's nice and frothy, because obviously that pressure of pulling down on that milk hitting the bucket, that's what you're going to see. But basically that's all there is to it. It's a pretty rewarding experience. You get to see, you know, with the machine, you get to see the milk come through the machine itself. But when you actually get to pull down on that milk and see it coming in, it kind of makes it all worth it. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for learning a little bit more about hand milking with us, and we'll hope to see you soon again. Have a good day.